Welcome back to Thando's Parlor. I thought this would make a really good prop for today. Maybe it'll have a reappearance. I don't know if it's really loud because the microphone's quite sensitive, so if it is, my apologies. I have always wanted to film a get ready with me, and seeing as this exercise of allowing myself to be seen, I think, is also an exercise in healing childhood wounds and allowing me to connect with my inner child. I feel like I should just do things I've always wanted to do just for the fun of it. That's what the personal channel is about. It's just for me to do whatever the hell I want, but we'll call it lifestyle. So this video will be entitled Seasons of Hermitude, because I just love that word. I am just like I have a love of linguistics. I have a love of language, so you'll notice. And I'm also, I don't know if one would count it as being part of like an old soul, because I've always felt like I'm an old soul. But I feel very old-timey sometimes, and sometimes I just like to use words that I like no matter what era they're from. And so if you notice me using words that people don't use, that's where that comes from. I just love it, and you know, I hope you can find enjoyment in it too. Now, just for a little fun fact about me, I studied to be a dermal therapist, which in other countries would be called an esthetician. And so I did beauty therapy, which is a step below, and that's where you learn like makeup, massage, nails and stuff. And then dermal therapy is like learning to do laser and to do some more intense, higher risk of infection treatments. But when I was in beauty therapy school, you know, I learnt properly how one should do makeup, what brushes they should use. But as someone who grew up being low socioeconomic, especially during my teenage years, because I think when I was a child I lived pretty well. My family had just had more income, I guess. But as a teenager, we were pretty low socioeconomic, and my mum and I would make games out of the situations that we were in, I guess. And so I can recall she started this thing where she would time herself doing makeup in 5 minutes. It might be something she'd watched on YouTube or something. And she just said, you know, she liked the idea that if you just trained yourself, you could do it really quickly, and it doesn't have to be this thing, you know, where some women are like, 2 hours it takes me to do makeup or to get ready or whatever. And she did that, and then I did that, and I was 14, and I still do my makeup really quickly. And even as someone who has studied aesthetics, I've always been a fan of simplicity. Right now, my skincare is maybe like 4 products altogether, and that was intentional. It was an intentional shift from how I used to do things back in the day, which was just mindlessly collecting. But if you really want to understand if a product works for you, but then you're piling it on with all these other products, then do you really know if it works? Was it that product? Like, anyway, I'm only saying this preface to say that what I'm going to be doing now is not for you to be like, oh, this is a dermal therapist's recommendation, because it isn't. This is... Okay. Why did I think that was necessary? Okay. This is just a girl who's on the internet, and this is how she does it. And I have sold my things and moved so many times. Currently, where I've been living, I've only had access to maybe a third of my things. And that's kind of been normal for how I've grown up. So, a combination of these factors is just a preface to say that not only do I use minimal amount of products, but most recently, my claim to fame and what I really love doing is using this one brush for everything. If that bothers you, I'm sorry. I probably don't even need to do makeup. I just like it. So there we go. Thank you for listening to that long preface. Okay. Seasons of Hermitude. Yes. I am one of the most extroverted people you'll ever meet. And as such, I've always enjoyed people's company because it doesn't affect me the way that it affects introverts. And so I feel like I only started having these seasons foisted upon me. I'm just looking at this little mirror because I don't know if you'd want me to look at you like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, the season started to be foisted upon me when I was in my 20s, and I think that was to lead me to where I'm at now, which is to lead a more spiritual life. And because there's something about solitude, being by yourself, connecting with yourself, only having your voice to contend with, that just adds a little bit of magic. But this is magic I have long fought against. Long fought against. Like, because I just want to be around people and I just want to be surrounded by people. And I think that was also like my younger self, especially because I have an issue with escapism, if you can believe that. And now that I'm older, I can recognize that some part of this need to hold on to being around other people at all times or want is an escape from my life. And it's not to say I haven't done it now that I'm older and wiser, but I do it way less. And also, people are just annoying. People are just annoying, and people have put me off of people over time. I guess spending so much time with people has allowed me to see the bad. I don't normally do this like tea like that, but look, it's fine. It'll all pan out. It's gonna highlight what I wanted to highlight anyway. And worst comes to worst, blend, my loves. Blend your hearts out. Yeah, so I believe that my first spiritual awakening would have been post a breakup that I had when I was 21 with probably very much so the most impactful relationship of my 20s. And honestly, I do recall saying to my best friend, because we started getting closer as we neared the end of this relationship. And then once the breakup happened, I recall saying to my best friend that I really felt like even the way that it happened felt ordained, like it was just above everyone involved. I felt like that, especially because I don't normally get back together with people that, I'm no longer with. But in that case, I did, and the outcome was the same. But I guess it's just like more of like a psychic hunch more than anything. Like I just felt like even if I did, even if I was like the perfect person, I felt like still that relationship wouldn't have worked out because it wasn't supposed to at that time. But it was really, really hard for me to understand because no one like my spiritual team weren't explaining why, and I guess I didn't really, because nothing had happened yet. Like I had done lots of research on like where I wanted to go, and I'd landed on that I was spiritual, but like not much I think had happened up until this point, and it probably has to do with the way that I was living, and in retrospect it probably has to do with the person that I was with. They probably were not aligned with where I am now. But because being spiritual doesn't come with a map, nor does being a human. So it was just me feeling like, okay, I can feel that there's a reason that I'm not supposed to do this, but can anyone explain why? Because as far as I'm concerned, you took away the best thing, on planet Earth. And so began my watch. That's a reference to Game of Thrones. RIP to those who haven't watched it. Yeah, I felt like it started then, because initially, with the events that followed, it was just me and my bestie huddled up together, fighting the crazy, insane things that were happening around us and people going crazy. And I guess it was just those people removing themselves from our lives as they were probably requested to, you know? But at the time, you don't know that. And during these times of hermitude, I would remove myself from social media. That's one of my biggest tells. I don't know that I'll be able to do it in the same way moving forward, especially now that my spiritual team has asked me to put myself out there. And now, I'm working towards a business that's very public. But my Seasons of Hermitude included total silencing of voices that I didn't need. Some of the clues that I was heading in that direction, I know this from having done it so many times, is just purging my social media. I think it's very healthy to do a regular purge. And by purge, I'm talking removing celebrities. Sometimes I will accumulate celebrities that I'm following because there will be celebrities that I like. But at the end of the day, I'm also not someone who's crazy about like hierarchy and believing that people that are celebrities are better than you. And so whenever I've had to do a cull, I think celebrities are a really good start, because social media can really have you thinking that you're missing out, or that you're not living life in the way that you should or you could or whatever. And I think, you know, even as a secure person, like, I don't think I've struggled with insecurities, but I don't think I've ever been really insecure. So even for me, as someone who was quite safe and secure in myself, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's someone you know who has money or whatever other things, when people are presenting in a certain way, and maybe you're going through a dark night of the soul, the last thing you want to see is reminders that other people, whether or not it is actually true, it's the idea that while you are still navigating the dark, hellish landscape, I may have done a little too much here, but I promise I'll save it. I'll save it. I did smoke, so what was I saying? Hermitude. Yeah, when you're seeing whether they're rich or famous or whatever, and people are appearing to live life in the easy lane, and for someone like me who has Jupiter in Capricorn, you know, things don't come easily to me in that way. Like, I get things because I work hard for it. It's the only way that my life has panned out. And it irks me when people think that it does because they haven't seen the work behind the scenes. And because I'm so go-getting, they're seeing things happen, maybe like one after the other or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but that's because I'm always reaching for something. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm like suddenly lucky or something. Like, I work very hard for the life that I want, and I always have. And it's not to say that I've done it perfectly. I've not perfected it. But have I made the best of every situation I've had? Absolutely, because it is within me. It is part of my value system as a person for me to do everything that I can to live and lead a happy life. I don't know what other people's value systems are for themselves. Like, I don't know what you would accept for yourself, but that's what I accept for myself. I allow myself sometimes where I let myself wallow. I definitely had that earlier this year. I was out of commission for about 2 months. I was depressed, healing after a failed, barely begun relationship that I kind of manifested when I was younger, but we'll talk about that another time. And yeah, so I was out of commission, and I wanted so very badly to get up off my ass and work, you know, but it was just untenable. It was untenable because my body wasn't ready, my mind wasn't ready, and I knew it's because I was supposed to actually sit in it. And I am an intellectualizer. So sitting in emotions, I cannot explain to you how much work has come into being able to, because I did, and I accepted it, but it was so very hard. It was so very difficult. And yet I'm so proud of myself, because when I was younger, I didn't even realize I would have thought my intellectualizing was some sort of superiority, like it was the superior position, which is crazy to me now. And how could I want to be a psychic? Because I did. I could see the gifts within me, and I wanted to embrace them. And yet I wanted to just be intellectual and not be feeling. Even as I was learning about esotericism, like water, intuition, femininity, all. Wait, did I say that right? Intuition, essentially, how could I embrace being psychic while holding on to the logical brain instead of dipping into my own body, dipping into my feelings, sitting within and flowing like a psychic, like a feminine being, like, Anyway, but these times of isolation where I got rid of social media and I would still hang out, but with very limited people. And it was basically anyone I consider a best friend. Outside of that, I wasn't seeing anyone. And it was just time for me to focus. And I would lean on my spirituality. That was the time I would be doing self-love spells, spiritual baths, journaling, meditation, reading new books about new angles of spirituality. Have you ever thought about looking at your self-development through the chakra system? Have you ever thought about starting at the root chakra and then moving up to the sacral chakra and then moving up? And then as you do that, you're finding that you're healing from like the most base level needs onto the higher needs. I'm saying that because that was something that I did read a lot about, and that's actually something I recommend. Like, if you are stuck in life and you're like, I don't know where to start, literally use the chakra system as a guidance, and then just like go up it. And like when you feel like you've settled each one, like, with the root chakra, you've made sure that all your needs are catered for. You are maybe like exercising more and like, being intentional about being rooted, maybe like eating certain foods and things like that. And then you're like, okay, now that's good. Okay, let's go to the sacred chakra. Have I been creating? Have I been having sex? Have I transmuted that sexual energy into creativity? Love. But it's in these moments of sacred solitude that I would devote myself to myself. And I guess as a Libra, it kind of feels illegal. I think that's why I struggled with it for so long, because it's like, am I allowed to be so selfish as to do this? And I can only do it if the need truly calls, where it's almost above me, because it's just another level of intensity. It's like, I guess the same love and intensity that I approach all my relationships is the same love and intensity. It's the same love and intensity that I have when I am in sacred solitude with myself. Then I give myself the attention and the devotion that I give others. And it's through those times that allow me to be able to guide the people around me, say the right things at the right time, and really just facilitate ease and harmony in the places that I frequent and in the relationships that I have with others. So I think if you're an introvert, the idea of sacred solitude is probably your bread and butter. You've probably been like this out the womb. You don't need anyone to talk to you about the importance of it or whatnot. But I guess maybe one could be used to spending time alone, but it not be intentional time alone, or it not be feeding or filling your cup. So I guess if you're an introvert like that, then you might find some use in me talking about it. I'll tell you the things that I have done in the hopes that you may find inspiration. And of course, for the extroverts, for the extroverts, this one is for you especially because you are me and I am you. Okay. When I am in sacred solitude, I do like to stay off the socials, but that's up to you. I like to step back as well to reevaluate everything. Like, I'm not even joking, everything. I especially like to take a step back in my friendships because it's in these moments that I realize if I've been the one maintaining a particular friendship or carrying it, or if I have put too much weight in something. I realize now, oh, it's an injured knee. How shall I? Oh, Jesus. No. Sorry about that. In times that I have pulled away, plenty times in my life that I've pulled away from everyone. I don't go out of my way to be like, I need time alone. I need time alone so I don't spend time with my friends. That's never how it happens. But if the calling comes that my soul tells me I must be alone so that I can think, plan, vegetate, hibernate, whatever you want to call it, and I pull away from friendships, the people who genuinely love me will continue to be my friend after that season. But I found in many times of sacred solitude so many friendships that I was beginning to build just slough away. They just fall off the face of the planet, and that's how I know. And it always hits me hard because it only takes that time where I feel like I'm being asked to be alone for me to have the will, especially because I'm a people person. And so when I am investing time into you, this is not a joke. I genuinely love people. And I think actually because I'm so psychic, I believe that I see people in their highest expressions of themselves. And I think that's kind of gotten me in trouble previously because I've gotten into relationships because I can see your higher version of yourself better than you can. And so I'm believing in you, but if you don't believe in yourself, then you're going to fuck it up anyway. And then what's the point? And so I think that applies across the board, platonically and romantically. And so it does hurt because it's only during those times that I realize, oh, some of these people were just like conveniently enjoying my company. And how could you not? That's the level of self confidence I'm at now. But how could you not? I'm easygoing, I'm fun, I make sure to remember little details about people that are around me. And so, of course, you want to be around me. What does it mean? And what do I want out of relationships? What I want from relationships is depth. And I can't believe that some people's relationships are so shallow and they're satisfied with that. But that's fine. But I don't have to be involved in that. I want depth. I want to know everything about you. I want a friendship like I have with several of my best friends at the moment, where when you do something, I know where you're coming from because I know your entire life story. I can understand why you would make certain decisions. I mean, to be really morbid, because I think like this and I think this is normal, but if the police were to come to me and say, hey, one of your best friends is missing, this is like the last bits of evidence that we have. Do you think you could imagine where they went? Like, do you have anything for me? I don't want to just be like, I guess in like this hypothetical situation, I want to be able to know you so well that I could predict things that you do. And not because I'm psychic, but because I've learned you as a person. You know what I mean? And so I think if you're watching this and you're comfortable, you already know you're uncomfortable by the idea of being alone. I think that already tells you that that's something that you need to work on, because it doesn't make any sense for a human being to be uncomfortable with their own company. You were born alone and you'll die alone. And I don't say that to be mean or fear mongering. I'm saying that because it's facts. And I can say this as someone who's healed their own relationship with themselves. I mean, I'm sure there's more, but now that I'm at like a place of like this really deep self-love, I can't imagine, like recently too, I feel like I've been having some very disappointing experiences. And what gets me through is going, okay, well, of course, other people can disappoint you because you can't control them, but I can control myself. So when I'm alone, I'm going to make sure that I have the most fun. Some of the things that were helpful were talking to myself. I've always talked to myself in my head. And I thought talking to myself out loud would be embarrassing or like make me feel like I'm insane, and maybe you don't want to talk to yourself out loud in the shopping center or when you're at a party. But I think I don't know what it does for you psychologically, but it's just really, really fun having conversations with myself. I love when I'm watching a movie and I'd make the same commentary that I would make if I was watching with someone else. But now it's like I'm not withholding my self-expression because I'm alone, and it would be really weird if I said something right now, even though no one's in the room. It's like, no, I'm becoming more myself in every instance instead of having slices of self-expression, you know? So talking to myself, journaling will always be useful. But I know that journaling isn't for everyone. So if it is for you, do it. You can try, if you struggle with like thinking too much about how journaling is supposed to be, I would recommend journaling like what is recommended in the Artist's Way. You've probably heard a lot of people talk about that, and I am reading it at the moment. But in the Artist's Way, the idea of the journaling is more of a brain dump, and it's more just whatever comes to mind whenever it comes to mind. I know when I'm doing it, I don't care if the next thought matches the last thought, but I normally do if I'm journaling separately to the morning pages. I still do my other journaling as normal because I already like the way that I do it. I don't find anything wrong with it, but I like what Julie Cameron recommended because I have seen the benefits of just letting just that shit out. And even just it's like just pulling it out so that you can look at it just makes you go, ugh. Or it might make you go, oh. It's like I think that's a good representation of what I feel like journaling in the style of the morning pages does for your brain or does for you. Taking yourself out intentionally and doing things intentionally that you know you love. It's like, it sounds so silly, like Thando, like why would anyone not do things that they love when they're alone? But I have found that doom scrolling has taken away so much of my energy and has sometimes become so addictive at points in my life that when I would want to sit and paint, sit and read, my brain would just go, or I could just, with a little finger, double tap, double tap. You know what I mean? It's like, so I feel like that. Yeah, so I feel like if you find you're struggling to do things that don't involve using technology, does that sound right to you? Like when I say that, in your heart of hearts, in your gut, does that sound normal? Does that sound okay? Is that the kind of person that you want to be? And if it is, cool. Who am I? I'm just a girl online. But if it's not, then start there. I go through plenty of periods of time where I do things to minimize my phone usage. And I think that's what really steals some of the joy of life away from us now in the modern day. So, taking yourself out on solo dates intentionally to do the things that you already know that you love, to then also do things that are out of your comfort zone, and just to try new things as well. And I think it's so nice to be able to be like, yeah, I normally want to do things with people, but if no one is available and I want to do something, I'll just go do it. I don't have to sit there and be upset or try and hound people or force someone to go with me. I mean, would you want someone to go with you once you force them? If you're really into an art gallery and your boyfriend doesn't like art and just wants to game, would you feel better taking him there when you know that the whole time he's just thinking about when he's going to go back to his game? Like, is that satisfying to your soul? Probably not. But you know what would be satisfying to your soul? You consuming that art by yourself, appreciating it in only the way that you know that you can. Like, I can't believe I ever held myself back, but at least I knew that it wasn't right. And so I've always slowly worked towards this. And I think that's just a metaphor for life. Don't think that if you try something and it doesn't quite work out perfectly the first time, that that's when you should throw in the towel. Actually, how about we try again and again and again? That's definitely something I'm good at. Trying so much, I'm like, people think, well, I'll never get there because I'm trying, and then why is it taking me so long? To round it all up, seasons of solitude are a necessary evil, and they're only a necessary evil until you accept that, until you accept it as a need in your life. Once you accept it as a need, it's no longer a necessary evil. It's just life. And you enjoy it, and you enjoy that season when it comes, and you enjoy it when it leaves. And as with everything, life is about seasons. There is no stagnancy. There is no straight line in nature. It's all a little windy. It's all a little curvaceous. And so are you. And so is your growth. Well, I hope you enjoyed the quickest, simplest little makeup touch up. This is what I look like close up. I hope you're going to have a good night. I certainly am. I'm rushing off to do an unboxing of a new Oracle deck. So you can head over to Cosmic Spark 24 if you actually want to watch that. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye.